Audrey Hepburn remains an enduring symbol of grace, elegance, and humility, a legacy that transcends her iconic roles in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman Holiday, and countless other classics from the golden age of cinema. But behind the radiant smile and timeless charm lay a life far more complex and dramatic than her on-screen persona ever revealed. Buckle up, because this isn't just a glamorous Hollywood tale. It's a story of wartime courage, family secrets, and the shocking reasons she walked away from fame. Audrey's mother, Baroness Ella van Heemstra, hailed from a distinguished Dutch noble family with roots stretching back to the 12th century. Her grandfather, Baron Ernoud van Heemstra, was a regular at Queen Wilhelmina's court, and Ella herself dreamed of becoming an opera singer. However, her father forbade it, fearing that associating with actors would tarnish the family's reputation. Yet Ella's friend, Alfred Heineken III, yes, that Heineken family, saw her as a natural actress. This sparked a vow in Ella. If she ever had a daughter, she would encourage her to pursue acting. On the other hand, Audrey's father, Joseph Victor Anthony Rustin, was a man of mystery. He later adopted the more aristocratic-sounding surname Hepburn Rustin, claiming descent from James Hepburn, the third husband of Mary, Queen of Scots. Tall, dark, and handsome, Joseph lived off his first wife's inheritance and rarely held a steady job. His attraction to Ella seemed less about love and more about her title and aristocratic lifestyle, casting doubt on his supposed noble lineage. Historians have since struggled to verify his claims, as the Hepburn family tree is a tangled web of branches. Audrey was born in Brussels on May 4, 1929, but her early life was anything but stable. Her family moved constantly due to her father's work, and by the time she was a child, she had already mastered 6 languages. Despite their privileged status, Audrey's family harbored a dark secret. Her parents were staunch supporters of the rising fascist regime in Germany. They even attended rallies in Germany, and Joseph's extremist beliefs eventually led him to abandon Audrey and her mother in 1935, fleeing to London to further his bigoted pursuits. This abandonment left a deep scar on young Audrey. She later described it as the most traumatic event of my life. Sent to a boarding school in Kent, she was left isolated and alone, as her father never visited, despite having the right to do so. While other children spent weekends and holidays with their families, Audrey faced a growing sense of loneliness, and worse was yet to come. When World War II erupted, Audrey's parents sent her to the Netherlands, believing it to be a safe haven. Her father even accompanied her to the airport in 1939, but it would be years before she saw him again. What seemed like a refuge quickly turned into a nightmare. In 1940, the Germans invaded Holland, and Audrey, just 10 years old, witnessed the horrors of occupation firsthand. To avoid detection as an English citizen, she changed her name to Etta van Heemstra, but life under Patsy rule was a constant struggle. For years, Audrey and her family lived in fear, often hiding in cellars as gunfire echoed around them. The war took a devastating turn in 1942 when her 2 uncles were captured and executed by the Patsies. This tragedy marked a turning point for Audrey, who, at just 15, joined the Dutch resistance. She became a spy, delivering underground newspapers and smuggling intelligence in her ballet shoes. One misstep could have meant death, but Audrey's bravery knew no bounds. Amid the chaos, Audrey found solace in her passion for dance. She dreamed of becoming a prima ballerina and even performed in secret, underground concerts to raise funds for the resistance. These performances were met not with applause, but with silent smiles. Any noise could have betrayed their location, yet even dance couldn't shield her from the horrors of war. In 1944, the Dutch famine struck, and Audrey's family resorted to making bread from tulip bulbs to survive. Just when it seemed Audrey had reached her lowest point, life dealt her another cruel hand. Ravaged by hunger, her health spiraled into a dire state. She battled anemia, severe malnutrition, and respiratory problems, while her family's wealth evaporated as their grand estates were reduced to rubble. Audrey Hepburn, the future global icon, was left penniless, struggling to survive in a world that had crumbled around her. But liberation finally came. When World War II ended, Audrey's life took a dramatic turn. One of her most vivid memories was the moment a UNICEF worker handed her a chocolate bar, a small act that symbolized hope and a new beginning. It was so exciting. And that's when life started again. she later recalled. With newfound freedom, Audrey wasted no time. She set her sights on a dream that had kept her going through the darkest days, becoming a ballerina. Moving to London on a ballet scholarship, Audrey began training at the prestigious Ballet Rambert, but reality hit hard. The years lost to war and her fragile health left her far behind her peers. Despite her determination, it became painfully clear that she would never achieve her dream of becoming a prima ballerina. The realization was devastating, but Audrey wasn't one to give up easily. She pivoted, channeling her passion for performance into a new pursuit: acting. While navigating her fledgling acting career, Audrey also found time for romance. She had been in a relationship with James Hansen, a wealthy industrialist, since their meeting in London. In 1952, he proposed with a dazzling 7-carat ring, and Audrey initially accepted, swept up in what she called love at first sight. But as the wedding day approached, doubts crept in. MGM warned her that marriage could derail her career, and Audrey made the heartbreaking decision to call off the engagement, via a letter no less. She kept the ring and publicly declared that when she married, she wanted it to be forever. It was a bold move, and while it stung Hansen, Audrey was focused on carving out her own path. With her dancing dreams shattered and her engagement in ruins, Audrey threw herself into acting. It wasn't her first choice. She had never aspired to be an actress, but it paid the bills and allowed her to stay connected to the world of performance. What began as a practical solution soon blossomed into something far greater. Audrey's journey from the stage to the silver screen began with small film roles, but no one could have predicted just how far she would go. Her big break came in 1953 while filming Monte Carlo Baby at the Hôtel de Paris. It was there that she crossed paths with Colette, the legendary writer, who immediately saw something special in Audrey. Colette offered her the lead role in the Broadway adaptation of her novel, Gigi. Audrey, of course, accepted, but this was just the beginning of her meteoric rise. In a stroke of incredible luck, Audrey landed 2 major opportunities almost simultaneously. Around the same time, director William Wyler saw a screen test of Audrey and was instantly captivated. He was preparing to cast Roman Holiday and had initially considered Elizabeth Taylor for the lead, but after meeting Audrey, he knew he'd found his star. She had everything I was looking for: charm, innocence, talent, and humor. She was absolutely enchanting, Wyler later said. Audrey's co-star, Gregory Peck, was equally impressed. He even insisted that she receive equal billing, predicting she would become a huge star. "If her name isn't up there with mine, I'll look like a jerk," Peck famously remarked. Audrey's performance in Roman Holiday was a revelation. She brought a fresh, relatable beauty to the screen, a stark contrast to the glamorous, untouchable icons of the time like Grace Kelly and Marilyn Monroe. Audrey's look, cropped hair, thick brows, and a slender frame, became an instant sensation. By 1954, fashion photographer Cecil Beaton declared her the public embodiment of our new feminine ideal. With just one film, Audrey had already cemented herself as a style icon and a rising star. Her success in Roman Holiday earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress, a life-changing moment that catapulted her into the Hollywood spotlight. But Audrey's rise didn't stop there. Just 3 days after her Oscar win, she took home a Tony Award for her performance in Undine on Broadway. Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of Audrey Hepburn. The world was at her feet, and her career was skyrocketing. Her next film, Sabrina, paired her with Hollywood legends Humphrey Bogart and William Holden. While Bogart was less than thrilled to work with the young newcomer as he had wanted his wife, Lauren Bacall, for the role, Holden was instantly smitten. The two began a passionate affair, despite Holden's marriage and personal struggles with alcoholism. He even proposed to Audrey, but she turned him down. Rumors swirled that Audrey wanted children, and Holden's vasectomy made that impossible. "I really was in love with Audrey, but she wouldn't marry me," Holden later admitted. For Audrey, however, the affair was just a fleeting chapter in her whirlwind rise to fame. Amidst her professional triumphs, Audrey found love again, this time with actor Mel Ferrer. The two were introduced by Gregory Peck, who couldn't stop raving about Audrey after working with her on Roman Holiday. Ferrer, a seasoned actor with 2 ex-wives and 4 children, was 11 years Audrey's senior, but their connection was undeniable. They shared a deep intellectual bond, a love for the arts and a European heritage. Their relationship blossomed during their time working together on Undine. and by September 1954, they married in a quiet ceremony in Switzerland. But as she soared to new heights, the challenges of fame and personal heartbreak loomed on the horizon. Audrey and Mel Ferrer were a dynamic duo, often brainstorming creative ideas together at their kitchen table. Their marriage started off strong, but life soon tested them with a series of heartbreaking challenges. More than anything, Audrey longed to be a mother, but her path to motherhood was fraught with pain and loss. Shortly after their wedding, Audrey became pregnant, only to suffer a devastating miscarriage in 1955. 4 years later, she was overjoyed to find out she was expecting again. But fate had other plans. While filming The Unforgiven in 1959, Audrey was thrown from a horse during a riding scene, breaking her back. The accident was catastrophic, and to make matters worse, she was pregnant at the time. She spent 6 weeks in the hospital recovering, then returned to the set wearing a back brace and specially designed costumes to conceal her injury. Despite her determination to finish the film, the trauma of the accident led to her second miscarriage. Director John Huston was racked with guilt, believing the horseback incident had caused the loss, and he grew to despise the film as a result. The couple's grief was immense, but they eventually found hope. In 1960, after taking a year-long break from acting to focus on her health, Audrey gave birth to her first child, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. The arrival of her healthy baby boy was a joyous milestone, but Audrey's personal struggles didn't overshadow her professional success. Just a year later, she took on the role that would cement her status as a Hollywood legend. In 1961, Audrey stepped into the shoes of Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's, a role that would become one of her most iconic. Ironically, Truman Capote, the author of the novella, had envisioned Marilyn Monroe for the part and was reportedly scandalized when Audrey was cast instead. Capote felt betrayed by the studio, but Audrey faced her own doubts about the role. As an introvert, playing the vivacious Holly was a stretch, and the pressure weighed heavily on her. During the famous window shopping scene, where Audrey appears effortlessly poised in her black Givenchy dress and updo, she was actually a bundle of nerves. The presence of hundreds of onlookers made her anxious, and she struggled to get through the takes. It wasn't until a crew member nearly got electrocuted that Audrey snapped out of her stress and finished the scene. Despite her insecurities, Breakfast at Tiffany's became a cultural phenomenon, and Audrey's portrayal of Holly Golightly redefined elegance. Her look, the little black dress, oversized sunglasses, and chic updo, remains one of the most iconic fashion moments in film history. Yet, in her private life, Audrey's relationship with her appearance was far more complicated. Audrey Hepburn may have been the epitome of glamour on screen, but off-camera, she preferred simplicity and comfort. Despite being celebrated worldwide for her beauty, Audrey often struggled with self-doubt. In a 1959 interview, she confessed, "You can even say that I hated myself at certain periods." Her insecurities didn't stop there. Even the petite, elegant Audrey sometimes felt too fat or too tall. The constant adoration from fans couldn't shield her from the inner battles she faced. Yet while Audrey saw herself as an ordinary woman, one person saw her as the ultimate muse, fashion designer Hubert de Givenchy. Their first meeting, however, didn't start on the best note. When Audrey approached Givenchy to design costumes for Sabrina, he initially thought he'd be working with Katharine Hepburn. So, when the young, relatively unknown Audrey walked in, he was underwhelmed. But this unexpected encounter would spark a legendary partnership. From the moment Audrey wore her first Givenchy creation in Sabrina, their collaboration became iconic. Givenchy's designs perfectly complemented Audrey's natural elegance, and she later said of him, "He gave me a look, a kind, a silhouette. He has always been the best, and he stayed the best. What is more beautiful than a simple sheath made in an extraordinary way with just 2 earrings?" Despite her professional triumphs, Audrey's personal life was far from perfect. In 1964, she reunited with William Holden for Paris When It Sizzles. But the experience was a disaster. Holden, still carrying a torch for Audrey, tried to rekindle their past romance. One night, fueled by alcohol, he attempted to climb up to her dressing room window in a misguided effort to win her back. Instead, he lost his grip and fell, humiliating himself in the process. It was a cringe-worthy moment that marked the end of any lingering connection between them. Audrey's struggles didn't stop there. While her career flourished, her marriage to Mel Ferrer was crumbling. Ferrer, who had been a guiding force in her career, became increasingly controlling, and their relationship grew strained. After 14 years of marriage, the couple divorced, with rumors of Ferrer's temper and infidelity contributing to the split. But Audrey's next move shocked everyone. In 1967, at the height of her fame, she decided to step away from acting to focus on her family, particularly her son, Sean. Haunted by her own childhood trauma, her father's abandonment, and the scars of war, Audrey was determined to be the mother she never had. She put her career on hold, sacrificing her stardom to prioritize her family. It was a bold and unprecedented decision, but as time would tell, it didn't always lead to the happiness she hoped for. The year Audrey divorced Mel Ferrer, she found love again, this time with Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti. Their whirlwind romance began during a summer cruise on the Mediterranean, where they bonded over shared adventures exploring Greek ruins. Within just 6 months, their passionate connection led to marriage and a dramatic shift in Audrey's life. Ready to leave Hollywood behind, Audrey embraced her new role as an Italian housewife, moving to Rome with dreams of raising a family in peace. She was deeply in love with Dotti and eager to start a new chapter, but her fairy tale quickly unraveled. Beneath Dotti's charming exterior lay a troubling duality. While he was a respected and generous doctor, he was also a serial adulterer. Audrey was crushed to discover his infidelities, which were shockingly documented by paparazzi. One photographer even captured evidence of Dotti's affairs with over 200 women. Devastated but determined to keep her family intact for the sake of their son, Luca, Audrey clung to the marriage, hoping things would improve. But the betrayal wasn't her only struggle. Despite moving to Rome to escape Hollywood's glare, Audrey couldn't shake her fame. Paparazzi hounded her relentlessly, making it impossible to enjoy even the simplest moments with her children. "I couldn't take my son to the park, down the street, or even onto the terrace without being followed," she lamented. The constant intrusion and her husband's infidelity left her feeling trapped and disillusioned. Eventually, Audrey decided it was time to return to Hollywood. In 1967, she made her comeback with Robin and Marion, co-starring Sean Connery. But it was during the filming of Bloodline that Audrey found herself drawn to co-star Ben Gazzara. Both were struggling in their marriages, and their shared pain led to a brief, bittersweet affair. Gazzara later recalled Audrey's deep insecurities, revealing that she once confessed, "I never thought I was a good actress." Despite her self-doubt, Gazzara saw her brilliance, but their relationship was doomed by distance and circumstance. Audrey's marriage to Dotti eventually ended, and she considered divorce one of the most painful experiences of her life. Heartbroken and exhausted, she retreated from the spotlight, seeking solace in Switzerland. There, she settled in a restored farmhouse named La Paisible, meaning quietness in French. For Audrey, it was a sanctuary where she could live anonymously, free from the relentless attention of the press. She cherished the simplicity of her new life, though it meant turning down countless film roles. "I want a real life, a private one," she explained. Just when it seemed Audrey's hopes for lasting love were dashed, fate intervened. At a charity auction, she met Robert Wolders, the widower of actress Merle Oberon. Wolders had auctioned off Oberon's jewelry for charity, and his kindness immediately drew Audrey to him. Both were recovering from heartbreak, and their connection grew as they shared their struggles. "We cried into our beers," Audrey later recalled. But from that sadness blossomed a deep and fulfilling love. Wolders was everything Audrey had been searching for. Kind, selfless, and devoted. Their shared Dutch heritage and love for a quiet country life brought them even closer. Audrey finally found the happiness she had longed for, declaring, "We like the same things, and we like the same life. Everything we do together is such fun." With Wolders, Audrey discovered the peace and love she had always deserved. Just as Audrey began to settle into her peaceful life in Switzerland, an unexpected opportunity turned everything upside down. During a UNICEF concert organized by her cousin, Audrey shared her own wartime experiences as a child with the audience. Unbeknownst to her, the head of UNICEF was in attendance. Deeply moved by her speech, he approached her with an offer she couldn't refuse: to become a full-time ambassador for the organization. Audrey's dreams of a quiet retirement faded, but this new role gave her travels a profound purpose. Having endured the horrors of World War II, Audrey understood the pain of hunger and displacement all too well. Her work with UNICEF allowed her to connect with mothers and children around the world, offering her a chance to heal her own childhood wounds. "I'm happy to do it because for children, I'd go to the moon," she once said. Her traumatic past, particularly the absence of her father, had left a lasting mark, and this mission became her way of giving back. In the 1960s, Audrey decided to confront one of the deepest scars from her past: her estranged father, Joseph Rustin. With the help of the Red Cross, she tracked him down to Dublin. It had been decades since they last saw each other, since 1939 when he sent her off to the Netherlands as a child. But their long-awaited reunion was far from the emotional healing Audrey had hoped for. Instead of warmth and affection, she was met with a cold, distant man who showed little interest in reconnecting. Heartbroken but resilient, Audrey chose to forgive him and even supported him financially until his death. Yet the pain of their fractured relationship lingered. While her father had once supported the fascist movement, Audrey's work with UNICEF was rooted in compassion and equality. But in 1992, her life took a devastating turn. After returning to Switzerland, she began experiencing severe abdominal pain. Tests eventually revealed a rare form of cancer that had spread through her small intestine. Despite undergoing surgery and chemotherapy, it became clear that Audrey would not recover. As her health declined, her dear friend Hubert de Givenchy arranged for a private jet to bring her home to Switzerland for her final Christmas. Audrey spent her last days in the tranquility of her garden, surrounded by loved ones. On January 20th, 1993, she passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her funeral was attended by friends, family, and icons like Elizabeth Taylor and Gregory Peck, with the Dutch royal family sending flowers in her honor. She was laid to rest at Tolochenaz Cemetery, near her beloved home. Though Audrey never aspired to be an actress, her legacy as one of the greatest of all time endures. She remains one of the few individuals to have won an Academy, Grammy, Emmy, and Tony Award. Her films, timeless style, and humanitarian work continue to inspire millions. In 2020, the documentary Audrey offered an intimate look at her life, revealing the woman behind the icon. One of the most poignant moments came when her granddaughter, Emma Ferrer, shared a heartbreaking truth. The best-kept secret about Audrey was that she was sad. Despite her radiant smile and grace, Audrey's life was marked by profound sorrow, making her resilience and compassion all the more remarkable.